Stone was used for the doors of the tombs. When we think of the doorway on Jesus' tomb, it was a rolling stone, right? That was the minority design for tombs in the first century, where they had a stone that rolled. Most of the doors were actually like doors in a house. They had stone hinges, and you would turn them. They weren't very easy to turn. You see the hinge there on either side, but you could open them with little effort. Stone is also used for cylinder seals. This particular cylinder seal is made out of clear quartz, a quartz crystal. You can see the hole that's been drilled through the center. And the cylinder seal usually had some kind of a string or a thong that went through the cylinder, and it was tied around your neck. In the ancient world, reading and writing was an occupation. What were they called? The ones who, scribes. And so oftentimes when you wanted a letter written or read, you would go to a scribe. And if you're writing a letter to a friend, if you didn't know how to read or write, you couldn't sign your name. So you'd wear these cylinder seals, and that would be your mark or whatever. So they'd roll that across the clay or whatever, and they knew who that represented. Also, if you took an oath, or if you had some kind of a contract between people, they would roll their cylinder seal. So this is your X. This is your signature of sorts. Here are some examples of cylinder seals that were uncovered. These are pieces of clay where they rolled them out, so you can see the design that's produced as you roll the cylinder across the clay. So cylinder seals are made of stone. Sometimes you find tablets where the imagery or the writing is actually carved into the stone, you see here. This is not clay, this is stone. Most of the time, the vast majority of the time, the writing tablets are in clay that's been impressed upon the clay, and then it's been either dried in the sun or in a kiln. But in this case, it's been carved in a stone. Stone was also used for monuments. This is a tablet from Egypt. Matter of fact, the rounded top of the tablet is very indicative of Egyptian monuments. You do see it further to the east in Mesopotamia, but almost all the tablets you find in Egypt have a circular top. That's one of the reasons when we think of the Ten Commandments, well, we see them with the circular top. That's because they're coming out of Egyptian context, so it makes sense that the tablets would have a round top to them. But anyway, tablets of stone. This is another monument from Egypt. It's called the Merneptah Stela. Does anyone know the significance of this victory monument, stela?
First mention of Israel.
Right. When you get to your timeline, that's one of the anchor dates around 1220 BC is the date they put on Merneptah and his campaign into Britain or into Canaan. Down near the bottom, you see all of the writing here. That's the cities that he destroyed when he went into Canaan. Right down at the bottom, there's an inscription that says, Israel's seed is no more. So that means when 1220 BC, when Merneptah went into Canaan, he destroyed a group of people called Israel. And it's interesting that in all the other cartouches, the city names, he gives the name of a city. But when he gets to Israel, it says Israel's seed is no more. It doesn't describe it as a city. So not only is it a mention of Israel outside the Bible, the first mention of Israel outside the Bible, but it defines Israel as not an urban culture. It doesn't have a city, but that it's a pastoral culture that would just be a people group, which is what we see in the Judges. They haven't really developed large cities yet. So it mentions Israel in the land, and it mentions in the same sort of context we find in Scripture. It's also prophesying the destruction of Israel, right? Israel's seed is no more. Is that correct? No, that was a big fat lie. But it shows a desire to destroy, to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, even in Egyptian times with Merneptah. Here's another image of the Merneptah stela. You see the dark area near the bottom? That's the portion where it says Israel's seed is no more. Does anybody know what this monument is? Yeah, a very famous monument. It's found in Egypt. It's called the Rosetta Stone. You notice that the top panel is in hieroglyphics. The bottom is in Greek. and the middle is in Demotic. It's sort of a longhand version of the Greek language. They knew how to read the Greek inscription. They assumed that each of these was the same text. And so using the Greek inscription, a Champollion linguist at that time was able to decipher hieroglyphics. It's such an important artifact that it's become part of the English vernacular as something that's a key to unlocking something else, the Rosetta Stone. Stone was also used in mosaics. This may look like a painting, but it's not. It's made up of little tiny stones embedded in a clay or a plaster base. If we look at this fish right here in detail, you can see the individual stones to make up the fish. These are called mosaics. By Byzantine times, they would use fragments of glass, but up until the Middle Ages, it's primarily stone. Some examples of mosaics. These are some mosaic stones that were found at Zippori, the city of mosaics. Stone was used as molds to cast different types of metal implements. There's some tools. The shape has been cut out of the stone. They would melt the bronze and then pour it in, and it would crystallize there inside, and they could chip it out and shape it.